Hello everyone, this is Suzanne Rahal and I will be discussing Chapter 11. Chapter 11 is about how multicultural teachers can become leaders in multicultural education. Multicultural education came to prominence through the intergroup relations in the 40s and 50s, and these groups, they were able to set a focus on multicultural education, and with that focus, there was also a focus on ethnic studies, race, human relations, and social justice and education. Sania also describes multicultural teachers as invisible. Even though they are invisible, they are actually key members and active members in multicultural education. And they possess certain qualities and characteristics. And this is the purpose of Chapter 11. This is what we will be discussing. What are those qualities that they should have? So multicultural educators are people who have the will to set efforts to learn about diversity, about culture. They also have the will to become self-reflective and to ask themselves questions. They question assumptions, stereotypes, and they also try to learn about multicultural students, and they try to incorporate the students' backgrounds and languages in their instruction inside the classroom setting. So what are those characteristics that a multicultural teacher should have to become a leader in education? So the first one is caring and loving. So Sania interviews teachers and she asked them questions about how can teachers become caring and loving, and they explained that they were caring and loving through communicating with their students, bonding with them. They connected with them. They also have the belief that their students that their students have the potential for change and for improvement. And also, caring and loving can be evident through having the same cultural background and linguistic backgrounds with the students that you teach. The second value is courage. So the teachers that Sania interviewed, they embodied courage through the ability to become activists, and they were advocates of minorities. So they had they believed that the students that they taught were not linguistically handicapped. They actually came from rich cultures and rich backgrounds, and they took advantage of their backgrounds and their cultures, and they tried to incorporate that in their instruction. Also, teachers who are courageous, they openly express anything that they see that is that is of no benefit for their students, such as the teacher who openly expressed his refusal of the MAPS testing. The third quality is creativity, and creativity is the ability to learn from your students' backgrounds and cultures, and to incorporate all of that in your instruction and classroom setting. It's also the ability to teach students to question stereotypes, to question any assumptions that they may have, to become active members of conversations that are about race, that are about cultural identities and stereotypes that have been portrayed negatively. So creativity is the ability to teach students to see contradictions and to look beyond what is present. So they have a very strong and deep insight. Conclusion of Chapter 11 is Naito mentions that multicultural perspectives can be a challenge in schools. There are many obstacles that they may face, such as achieving goals, accountability, testing, even silencing teachers. It's important that we appreciate multicultural educators, that we celebrate them, because they are not heard enough, and they are the reason that multicultural students and minorities flourish in schools. So they are the unsung heroes of the public education system. Okay, now I'm going to be discussing our article for this week, which is Preparing Mainstream Teachers for English Language Learners. Is being a good teacher good enough? So why are teachers not prepared enough for English language learners? One of the problems that exist is that teachers are not aware of their students' languages, they're not aware of their students' backgrounds, and they're not prepared enough for their needs. Also, the second problem is the failure to include bilingual or English as a second language courses in teacher preparation programs. Okay? So there's an assumption that we can handle the needs of English language learners through instructional adaptations, and that they can be easily incorporated into the teacher's strategies for diverse classrooms. So there's always an emphasis on creating classrooms where students will talk to learn, but there's not enough consideration of how students will learn to talk. Okay, so what are these needs? We're going to start off with the oral language needs. It's important that teachers systematically assess students with a variety of question forms that are appropriate for their proficiency levels. So the way we assess them is really important. Also, mainstream teachers need to understand the difference between the social and academic language proficiency and second language learners. So second language learners need more scaffolding. They may need more, certain strategies in the classroom more than their native peers in the classroom. So it's important that this distinction is made in the classroom. Also, mainstream teachers are unaware of how they use their language in the classroom. They may use idioms or words that may be confusing for English language learners. So it's important that they self-monitor how they speak in the classroom. Also, mainstream teachers may have little experience with strategies that can be helpful to bilingual students. For example, bilingual students may use native language transfer and code switching when they are trying to learn, when they want to learn English. So this can lead teachers to wrongfully referring English language learners as special needs, or they may enforce English-only policies in the classrooms. So it's important that we develop an understanding of what is normal for bilingual children. Okay, the literacy language needs. So English language learners, they often need more time. They need more instructional strategies and opportunities for language and background knowledge development to fully participate in reading-based discussions and to develop their oral and literacy skills in English. English language learners' native languages are different than those in English. So the way the organization of words, the way these students may write a letter in their native language is different than that in English. The way the grammar that is used in their language is different in English. So it's important that teachers recognize those differences. Also, English language learners frequently do not have the same control over the sounds of English. So teachers must be able to be literacy activities. Teachers need to be able to interpret assessment results also. Content area demands. So subject teachers such as math, science, and social studies assume that English language learners will come into their classroom with a full understanding of the content that they are teaching. And they assume that they have teachers that will help them in English. So it's important that we need to understand that when we teach students math or science, they may be unaware of the vocabulary and terminology that's used in the classroom. Okay, the cultural needs. So it's important that we understand that these students come from different backgrounds, from different cultural backgrounds. They may